Welcome to Profile, Red Apple 21's monthly look at schools in Fairfax County. On this edition, we'll take you inside Green Acres Elementary, a small school in our large county. You'll see how the integrated approach to learning has fifth graders using science trade books to study language arts, and using the thematic approach, see how one fourth grade class has been transformed into a make-believe town. You'll see how the RIF program provides books for students to promote the idea that reading is fun. We'll visit a classroom where an experienced member of the Green Acres faculty is guiding a student teacher through her first days in the classroom. Finally, we'll watch as students participate in extracurricular activities that range from a before-school dance troupe to an after-school program designed to improve basic skills. A trip to Green Acres Elementary is next on Profile. For students, staff, and parents, Green Acres is the place to be. Located on Sideburn Road in Fairfax City, Green Acres has been providing students with quality education for over 30 years.
Green Acres Elementary is a very special place. We are located in Fairfax City, adjacent to George Mason University, and we enjoy benefits from both associations. There's a lot of support and interest in our school from the city, as well as our involvements with the university. We have about 380 students in our student population, and they come from very diverse backgrounds. We have all races represented and many ethnic backgrounds. I think this cultural diversity adds a richness to our school.
This diverse student population is drawn together through common goals set up by the staff. These clearly defined objectives shape the school's curriculum and provide structure to daily activities.
We have very basic goals that don't really change from year to year. In our mission statement, we say that we want our students to live personally satisfying lives as productive citizens of a world culture. And I smile when I say that because that really means having it all and doing it all. And it's a very lofty goal, because if we're talking about personally satisfying lives, then we're going to be concentrating on the arts and both performing and fine arts and a strong physical education program and the benefits that brings. When we talk about productive citizens, we're thinking of future citizens that can do some things and know some things and play an active part in our society. And so that implies a strong academic program. And when we say students who will live as part of a world culture, because we are increasing in diversity, we mean that we need to be able to work together and understand each other and find commonalities and accept the differences.
In addition to its diversity, the size of Green Acres is seen as an advantage. The small population allows each student to be known and recognized by the staff.
In my opinion, there are many benefits to being in a small school, from the point of view of the child and the point of view of the staff. Children at Green Acres are known. When Green Acres kids walk to school, the patrols know who they are. When they get off the bus driver says goodbye by name. When they come into the building, the principal knows them and says hello. The secretaries know who they are. The clinic aide knows most of the children. When they're in music and PE and in other special programs, the same thing is true. So the child, I believe, in a small school has a sense of, I belong here, I have a part, they know me. And so when you set the expectations, I believe the children feel an obligation to make an effort to meet those expectations because they're not an unknown quantity. And people are asking. And I'll ask when I go into classrooms, have you done your homework? What are you learning? What's happening? What's good? What's not so good? And so that sense of belonging, I think, is terrific.
This sense of belonging and being involved is a big part of life at Green Acres. Students participate in activities before, during, and after school. One popular program that meets before school is Dance Electric.
Dance Electric is a group that our physical education teacher, Sandy Cockrell, is very interested in and has developed. The students come before school. Sometimes they stay after school, and they practice dances that I think are high interest and enable them to be physically active and improve coordination. It develops a real positive self-image, I think, in the students. They like being part of the group.
Created 6 years ago by physical education teacher Sandy Cockrell, Dance Electric is composed of 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. Auditions are only held in order to determine the students' level of rhythmic competency. This enables Ms. Cockrell to cast students in a variety of dances best suited to their abilities.
We do a variety of rhythmic activities, including ballet, jazz, tap, musical theater, and some different types of rhythmic activities. For example, today we did a rhythm stick routine, and we had a pom-pom squad, which is also a type of rhythmic activity. We did a musical theater piece from Little Shop of Horrors, and we had some tap dancers demonstrating their tap skill.
5, 6, 7, 8, hold on.
The group practices about 3 times a week. In addition to performing for the family and friends at Green Acres, Dance Electric has performed for the Fairfax Arts Pyramid and has traveled to Richmond to take part in the Virginia State Conference for Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. The students enjoy the opportunity to share their skills with people.
I think there needs to be some special activity as an outlet for students that have special skills. A lot of schools do things like intramurals or jump rope teams or have something special that's related to health and fitness. And because dance was my area of expertise, I thought this would be a fun way to get some special enjoyment out of dance and rhythmics and be a good outlet for extra exercise and conditioning.
The students are concerned not only with the end product, but with the process as well. The responsibility they feel to each other as members of a performing group doesn't lessen their enjoyment.
They have a ball. They have so much fun doing the activities and participating in the rehearsals. The process is probably the most rewarding part of what we do. They are very devoted to the group. They're responsible. They enjoy what they're doing so much. It's almost a crime to them if they have to miss a rehearsal. They take it very seriously, and it's a very big part of their day. It gives them a sense of belonging, and I think for them, it helps them to get a sense of responsibility and being part of a group.
What do you think? That app has 4 feet and a tail and flies. Horse answer, a horse in an airplane. No. Morris cried, a moose in an airplane.
Students at Green Acres know that reading is fun. For over 10 years, the school has been involved in the Reading is Fundamental program, better known as RIF. RIF is a nonprofit organization that distributes free books to children in order to encourage them to read.
We are a RIF school, and 3 times a year we distribute books to the children. These are inexpensive, quality paperback books. We have a wide variety of subjects, and the children are allowed to choose any that they wish to own, and hopefully we're encouraging reading through this.
At Green Acres, the book distribution is always paired with a reading activity in order to emphasize the idea that reading is fun.
RIF organization would like always to have some kind of storytelling or special activity in order to associate pleasure with reading. And that's the RIF philosophy, and we do try to do that. Last year we had an art activity. We painted beach bags with the theme of reading in the summer and taking books to the beach. We also decorated pumpkins once to look like book characters. Today we'll be having storytelling by our 6th graders who have learned some folk tales to share with the younger children.
My story is called Dark Pony. Once upon a time, long time ago, in a land far away called Sleepy Town, was this pony in Sleepy Town, and every day before the sun went down, he'd go to Sleepy Town. And he'd go into the park and go to
By
sleep.
having the older students participate in the activity and interact with the younger students, both groups benefit.
We feel like both the older children and the younger children gain by this. The older children gain confidence and they gain a sense of importance by telling stories. The storytelling activity for the older children gives them a sense of the oral tradition and a sense of being able to talk in front of an audience, being able to relate a story, and that's very powerful for children, or for anyone when they're telling a story, to be able to tell it and have an audience make contact with the story. For the younger children, they get to see their peers performing and see their peers doing something for them.
Following the storytelling, each kindergartner chose the book they wished to own. The 6th graders stayed to help the younger students read their new books.
You are welcome to live here, but you must promise me to be good to my friends. I promise, said the little crab.
It's a time for focusing in on love of books and reading. In my opinion, there's nothing more exciting than putting a new book in the hands of a child, especially in some cases children that have never had a new book before, and one that they've chosen. So there's a nice activity attached to it, and the subtle message, I think, is reading is important. We want to support you in this endeavor. Enjoy it and come back.
Extracurricular activities like Dance Electric and special events like those associated with RIF add spice to the school day. But the core curriculum of math, science, and language arts is the main course. Green Acres, like many Fairfax County schools, uses an integrated approach to teaching these subjects. In this class, 5th graders use science trade books to learn both science and language arts.
In the past, we had a block of time that we said this is science instruction, and then we had a block of time and said this was language instruction, and then we decided that we could do a lot if we integrated language arts into the content area. So, for example, if you're reading a science book, you really need pretty specific reading skills to adequately comprehend the information. And so reading could be taught logically and legitimately as a part of science.
While trade books cover a variety of topics, they are different from textbooks because they present the information in a narrative fashion. Using trade books on science topics, these students performed group activities designed to improve their language skills.
What they did was they read their trade books in their groups, and each group had to come up with a way to share those trade books with other members of the class.
Who would like to read theirs? Go ahead. My book was called Tasmania Wildlife Journey, and I did a acrostic poem like Marie. Tasmania is an island off the shore of Australia.
Now, when you visit with the Writing Center or the Writing Conference group, they had read different trade books in that group, and each one of those students had to write a poem or an expository writing of a poem in which they would tell us and explain facts to us about their trade books. The children were editing different writings, and some were rewriting their writings.
Because the students design the activities themselves, they take more interest in them. When creating the activity, the students looked for a fun way to share information. One student used a game as a method of teaching the difference between proper and common nouns. Another group played tic-tac-toe with a twist.
RAM, or Random Access Memory.
What is it again?
Random Access Memory. RANDOMACCESMEMORY. Correct. Steven, input.
In another activity, a student used the trade book How to Think Like a Scientist to teach verbs. First, she explained what verbs are.
Also, she had made a chart of 10 verbs just to give them an example in order for them to participate in picking out the verbs from their science trade book. She had taken sentences from the book and put them on a chart, and they discussed those sentences together as a group. And then at the end of her presentation, she went back and she had her group to turn to a page in their science trade book. And we find that in doing this, instead of taking verbs out of context, we use them with the trade books, and it's easier for them, and it's also a way for them to also understand that verbs can be also used not only out of context, but with other subjects. It does not always have to come directly from a language book.
By having to teach their peers, students gain more than just subject knowledge through this method of instruction.
Oh, definitely, it is a self-confidence booster, because at different points, each one of them become leaders, and it's not always one leader all the time. And they all find that they all do have something to share, and that's important to each one of them.
In another class, the integrated approach to learning was taken one step further. Nancy Bush's fourth grade class has been transformed into the town of Bushburg.
Mrs. Bush, our fourth grade teacher, develops a theme every year with her students. And I like to say that they start out on this earth and then they start to orbit, because they get very involved in imagining and learning about whatever the topic is that is the basis for the theme. So, for example, this year she chose the town of Bushburg, and she's coordinated it with all her social studies activities. They have town meetings and they plan their programs. The children take a lot of responsibility for every aspect of their learning.
Identified by their colored hats, the students are divided into groups that are responsible for different jobs within the town. Led by a mayor, students sit on the town council, make up the police force, some are fire and safety personnel, while others are responsible for the town's parks and recreation. In order for each student to experience a variety of roles, they change jobs every 9 weeks. That's one of the few guidelines Mrs. Bush sets. For the most part, the organization and operation of the class is left to the students.
Stacy and Mike are in charge of the blackboards. Buck's in charge of the floors. Stefan is in charge of putting chairs and blocks in place.
Okay, yeah.
So nobody trips over the chairs or
the blocks.
And they don't stack the blocks too.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and Mrs. Bush doesn't
so
have
don't
to
stack the blocks. Just
check
like,
the room after that again.
Just don't stack the blocks.
The children operate all of their departments, and then about once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a week, we will have a town meeting depending on the things that they have to bring before the town.
Robbie, you would like to talk about the administrators?
All right. The administrators are the Black Hats. The Black Hats, a few days ago on Thursday, they gave the people jobs to do. They haven't been doing the jobs, and we're wondering...
In addition to being involved in the operation of the town, these residents also own and operate their own businesses. This way, students learn how to manage money and, at the same time, practice math skills in situations that reflect real life.
When Mr. Wise comes in from Sovereign next week, he is going to give you a workshop, and he is going to teach you what to do with a bank account. He is going to explain to you what interest is and how you can make money by just putting your money in the bank and leaving it. And the third thing he's going to do is he's going to bring some checks, and so you are going to have your own checks for your own banking system. And Rose, have you named your bank yet? The Bushberg Bank. Okay, it's a good name.
The Bushberg theme is incorporated into lessons throughout the classroom. The town library is used to encourage reading. A travel agency promotes the study of Virginia geography. And the town's newspaper offers a chance to work on writing skills. This thematic approach to learning provides a vehicle with which to motivate students to want to learn. As members of the town of Bushberg, they are in charge of their own learning. For these fourth graders, living in Bushberg has made learning meaningful and fun. Green Acres is not only using innovative techniques to teach children, they're helping to develop new ways to train teachers as well. Everyone is familiar with student teachers, but Green Acres takes the process one step further by working in cooperation with George Mason University as a professional development school.
George Mason was asked to restructure its School of Education, and so starting this summer, teachers will be part of a graduate program. There will be no undergraduate degree for teacher education. And so teaching certification will come after a 5th year of what will be called an internship. And that we hope will be in local schools for these people, where they can work summer perhaps as instructional aides, and during the full year as intern teachers with clinical faculty.
Interns participating in the professional development program will differ from traditional student teachers in that they will work in the classroom for a whole year instead of a few weeks. In addition, teachers from Green Acres will receive training from George Mason to become clinical faculty members. These teachers will work as mentors with the interns, guiding them through the school year.
Well, I hope that through my role modeling, the student teacher would be able to see planning, cooperation, provisioning, a good rapport developed with the students, be able to become more familiar with the curriculum, program of studies, and the resources that are available through the school system and available within our building.
Although the professional development program won't be fully implemented until next year, there are student teachers working at Green Acres now. Carol Joseph, a student teacher assigned to Mrs. Royal's class, won't be spending the entire year at Green Acres. However, she feels she's learning a great deal by working with an experienced teacher.
Well, she has shown me a lot of classroom management techniques. There's a lot of students that need structure and needs to a firm hand so they can actually learn and listen to what she has to say. Also, I've learned a lot of techniques in showing students. There's a lot of students at different levels. How can we help them? Some may need to know their ABCs more, or some may need help in math. And she showed me several ways that this student can learn actually what we're teaching them.
Green Acres' association with George Mason University's professional development program will add a new dimension to the school. The teacher interns will share their fresh ideas and enthusiasm, while experienced faculty members will share knowledge and time-tested techniques. Together, dynamic teaching teams are formed from which everyone, including the students, benefit. The opportunities for learning extend beyond the school day at Green Acres. The Accelerated Learning Program, offered after school at Green Acres and several other Fairfax County schools, is a 3-year focus on basic skills designed to meet the needs of at-risk students.
We have students in all grade levels, 1st through 6th grade, who participate in the program. They're chosen on the basis of test scores and on teacher recommendation. In order to qualify, students had to have test scores on a standardized reading or math test below the 50th percentile, and or had to have recommendations from their teachers saying that they felt they would benefit from a program such as this that was focused on strategies and focused on individualized small group learning.
The Accelerated Learning Program, which emphasizes math and reading skills, teaches students strategies for problem solving that they can use to achieve success in the classroom.
Did you figure it out? Did you figure it out?
This one?
Yeah. So what did you do? What strategy did you use from up there? Is this a picture?
Make a list.
Make a list.
What we're doing with the after-school program, we're building on the summer, and we're just continue adding on, and hopefully they will use these strategies that they're learning in the summer and carry them over to the course of the school year.
The program, which began last summer, is achieving results. One reason is the low teacher-pupil ratio. With one teacher and one instructional aide for every 10 students, each student receives individual attention. These same teachers and students will stay together throughout the school year, providing continuity to the program.
Andy, do you have an idea?
To the moon.
You think you might go to the moon? Look up here at the picture. You think it's at the moon. What do you suppose?
By staying together throughout the program, students feel more comfortable. This relaxed atmosphere lets students feel confident about taking risks.
We feel like these students sometimes are the students who don't get a lot of opportunities to participate. Sometimes they don't feel comfortable participating in the regular classroom. And we feel that by keeping this group together and keeping the teachers together, we get to know each other, and we get to provide many more opportunities for the children to feel comfortable enough to share with each other and to take the risks that are necessary for them to take on the strategies that we want them to learn.
During the school year, students will continue to add new strategies to the ones learned this summer. In addition, students will work on achieving a more self-directed use of the strategies.
Our focus for this winter is on the same strategies, but what we're trying to do now is to scaffold with these strategies, getting the students to become more involved with the strategies and taking responsibility for their use themselves. When you teach strategies, you usually start out with the teacher modeling, and the teacher takes full responsibility for the strategy. And what you want to do is withdraw that teacher support gradually so that the students gradually become more responsible for the strategies and that they're able to use them on their own without, when the teacher isn't around to guide them.
Learning to think on one's own is the byproduct of any good education. In every way, Green Acres Elementary is providing students with a solid education that serves as a foundation on which to build. Using a unique blend of old and new, Green Acres is preparing students for a well-rounded life. On one hand, Green Acres is a small school in an established community where many of the parents who are currently volunteering in the PTA were once students here themselves. On the other hand, as part of the Fairfax County school system, Green Acres has access to the latest in educational innovations, outstanding equipment and materials, and a staff that is well-trained and highly motivated. By combining the old and new, Green Acres Elementary is providing a unique and memorable experience for students.
When these students are grown and gone and looking back on their elementary experiences, I expect that they'll remember things that are unique to them. But as a totality, I would hope when these children look back, they feel a sense of well-being and a remembrance of time well spent in a supportive environment where they learned some things and there was justice and the world made sense. And so when it's all over, the feeling would be, yes, I went to elementary school at Green Acres and it was great.